Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Spitz-Cohan, Executive Director of Film Pittsburgh. I'm excited to talk to the Pittsburgh Shorts filmmakers. This is Block 9. You're all here. And so many of you I know and have met and have worked with before. It's thrilling for me to be able to see you here. I'd love to go around and just have you introduce yourself and your film and tell us what your roles were. If we could start with you, Dylan, that'd be great.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Catherine, for having us here. My name is Dylan Bruno. My film is Thumb Runner. I was writer, director, actor, producer, grip, gaffer, a little bit of everything. And our film basically is a guy wakes up in the morning, finds his wife missing, and turns out she is being held hostage by an irritable mob boss of unknown origin, and he has to do a gauntlet of tasks if he's going to win her back from the mob boss.
Mehrdad?
Hi, I'm Mehrdad Sarlak, and I'm one of the producers of Thumb Runner, working with Dylan and our friend Casper over in Europe, who's unable to join us today.
Who's up next? Jeremy.
I think that's me. Hi, I'm Jeremy Glazer from the film On the Ride. I was the writer, producer, and actor from the film. Also, thank you very much to Pittsburgh Shorts and you, Catherine, for having us. The film is about a man who's it starts with a man on a bike ride, and he is traveling through the city, but you see in a series of flashbacks a trauma that he experienced the year prior. And the ride takes an unexpected turn, which leads him to the doorstep of a stranger that helps him move forward with his life from that trauma.
Thank you, Jeremy. Who's up next? I think Malona. Yeah.
Sure. My name is Malona Badeit. I am the director and producer of Mateo's story. This film is about a family fleeing El Salvador from deadly violence, only to encounter traumatic experience at our southern borders.
Thank you. Nora.
Hi, I'm Nora Mariana. I'm the writer-producer of Alén, and our film takes place over the course of one night in the Warsaw Ghetto as Nazis are brutally separating children from their parents. And we follow a group of young women who are trying to smuggle a 3-month-old Jewish baby to safety.
Thank you. Pablo?
Hi, I'm Pablo Alén. I'm from Madrid. I co-wrote, co-direct, and co-produced this film with Rachel Corral, who could not join us today. And it's we've been working together several years as writers and wanted to try ourselves in directing. And it's about a couple of young parents with their 6-7-year-old kid that they take them to the birthday party of like the popular kid in the class, and they feel like they have a really hard time to fit in. And the party keeps getting more and more awkward as time passes, and they are put through a huge test to see if they can fit in with the parents or their son can fit in with the kids. And that's it.
Roger.
Hello, my name is Roger Gariépy, and I'm from Montreal, Canada, which is the French part of Canada. So I have to apologize for my English. My film I'm a director, writer, and producer. My film is Busy Tuesday, and it's about containment. So I guess it rings a bell to you all.
Thank you. You know, it's amazing that you're all here from all over the world. And Malona, tell us where you're from. Oh, you're in LA. Actually, you guys are all mostly in Los Angeles. Pablo, where are you?
In Madrid. I'm in Madrid.
Madrid, yeah. So let's talk a little bit just about your films. I think the audience is always interested to know, like, how did you come up with this idea, or how did the film come to be? Jeremy, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Well, I've been an actor in Los Angeles for almost 20 years now. Actually, Dylan, I think you and I may have even worked together on Numbers a while back.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I
Nice to see you again. I thought you looked familiar.
Yeah. And Catherine, actually, I got inspired partly from Marcello, who a director that I worked with of a short film called In the Clouds, which was a part of your festival before, and just seeing how he brought all the elements together. And as being an actor, I wanted to basically create my own film school and write my own story instead of being an actor for hire. So I was trying to mull on what's the story I want to tell, and I produced in the past. I've just never created a story on my own before. So one day I was just on Facebook and somebody posted a news story. Spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen the film yet. Somebody posted a news story about a man who rode about 1,500 miles on his bike to meet the man who now contains his daughter's heart. And there was just such an emotional reaction I had to that story that I immediately just sat down at my computer and just, I was like, how can I make this my own? How can I emotionally tell the story that I can play and something that is within reach that I can produce? So I just started writing, and fortunately, just from being in this town for a while, you have friends in the industry. So I started pulling my resources, and my good friend Jim Rash, who's an incredible writer and talent, he helped me craft the script to where it needed to be. Another director that I worked with, I just loved working with her, and I love the types of films she makes. So I tapped her to direct it, and then it all just kind of unfolded from there.
I must have missed your call, Jeremy. I was here waiting for you, ready to help.
Now.
Yeah, you got to be ready. You got to be on it.
I know. Yep.
Nora, tell us about the making of Alén.
Yeah, I think I've been really fascinated with the power of the regular woman in a terrible circumstance. My mom is a 5'3" Jewish woman who was a statistics student when she saved our family from an anti-Semitic dictatorship. So when I came across the story of Alén, which is just a network of women in the Warsaw Ghetto who smuggled children to safety, it really resonated with me, and I felt like we had to tell that story. Yeah. How
did you come across the story?
The truth is, it was during the 2016 elections, and I was trying to, every day I would kind of research and post a story that revived my faith in humanity. And that story came across my readings in that time period. And then I just became obsessed with the story and had the opportunity to meet with Holocaust survivors and museum experts, and it became just this research process. And the more we looked into it, the more we realized that, these women in the Warsaw Ghetto collectively saved over 2,500 children with no real means or political clout, just their own kind of wits and guile. And I just thought that was so inspiring. And I love that they just took it on themselves. It wasn't just like a force majeure moment. In the film, it kind of is. It's like something's happening, and so these women react. But their backstory is that they all made a decision to work in the underground and to be smugglers. And that was just a life choice that they made as the Nazis were occupying our country and changing everything around them. And I just thought it was just amazing to see how regular people, regular working class people can counter hate with acts of love. So
I really loved that. I felt so anxious. I think you really did a great job of building the tension and really making me feel like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen or not? I thought that was really well done in your film. So, just my opinion. Mehrdad and Dylan, tell us about the Thumb Runner. How did the film come to be? How did you come up with this idea?
You want me to take this one, Mehrdad? So Casper, our partner, who's not able to be with us today, he and I kept hearing this buzzword in Hollywood, short form content, 10 by 10. Everybody was talking about short form. And then when Quibi was announced, we were fascinated. We're like, wow, okay, the big guys are getting involved in short form. This will be interesting. But their announcement said that in 1 year, we're going to tell you more about this company. And a year later, they announced their pricing model. And they said that in one more year, they were going to have content ready. And Casper and I were kind of like, you know, if you're going to sort of make short form work, which to me, short form is meant to appeal to people's kind of short attention spans, fill little teeny moments during the day, it needs to come out immediately. It needs to be just, you know, have a quick entertainment value hit and then move on. It's sort of disposable content. And I thought these guys are looking for A-list talent, millions of dollars of budgets, and they're taking 2 years to turn content around. So Casper and I said, let's just make something and see if we can do it like on what we think is the right model, which is just super fast. So this was on like a Thursday. We sat down that night. He said, I got this great idea for an opening shot. And I was like, oh, cool. And he described it to me. And I said, well, what else do you have? He goes, I don't know. I don't know what happens after that. So we sat down Thursday night and we wrote. And Friday we kind of revised. Saturday, Sunday we shot. Monday we edited, and we had our pilot for Thumb Runner. Wow. And we sort of decided this was like a fun experiment for us who've both worked on big budget productions that, you know, are kind of monolithic and hard to navigate. And we were like, wow, this is so fun and freeing. And everything was just kind of evolutionary. I mean, the story was based on what do we have access to? We had my house with the pool, so we wrote about the pool. My wife had 2 pet goats, so we wrote a goat in. We had a really good friend of ours who is a stunt coordinator who is in town from Denmark, so we made it stunt heavy. And it just kind of evolved and manifested itself over the course of these 4 days. And we showed it to some people, and people really laughed, and we said, well, maybe we should do more of this. So we wrote and did 10 more. Or 9 more.
Mehrdad, how did you become involved? I think you're muted. Mehrdad, hold on. You're muted. Yeah, there you go.
So Dylan and I have been, you know, I mean, I guess I can use the word childhood friends because we both went to MIT together. You know, both have an engineering background, and you know, he came out of MIT and pretty quickly moved into Hollywood and has had a really unbelievably successful career. I dare you to IMDb him. He's a very humble guy, and the only thing that outpaces his talent is his humility. But he's had a very successful career in Hollywood with major films and TV series. And Jeremy mentioned, you know, they'd worked on Numbers together, who was a series regular for a while. And I moved into engineering, and it wasn't for many years after my graduation that I kind of came back to the arts. But Dylan and I were in touch, I think, you know, shortly, you know, a few years after graduation. I saw him. He was in the Rage Carry 2 and Where the Heart Is and Saving Private Ryan. And I reached out to him and I was like, what is going on? And so we'd really remained friends from there. And, you know, I started to become interested in getting into film and TV at that time while I was pursuing my engineering career. And I'd flown out from Minneapolis, where I was living at the time, to LA. And he and I had, you know, dinner a few times, and we just, you know, kept that friendship alive. And slowly over time it grew. And then as I started to get into short form, which, you know, Catherine, you know, I've had the honor of being at your amazing festival where, you know, you've become one of my dear friends over the last several years with El Astronauta. You know, hopefully more to come. But, you know, I'd really gotten into short form content and making short films as a producer and as an actor back in 2016. And so I would share, you know, Dylan, I would see him doing all these amazing things. And then I would kind of share my little humble wins with short form content. And, you know, he was always very nice and complimentary about the success we were having on our projects. And we just always kept talking about, you know, we've been friends for a long time, not to give away our ages. And we're both kind of doing our thing in separate areas of Hollywood. Why don't we come together? And so when Dylan kind of moved into this area, which I'd had a little bit of experience and success in, you know, he'd reached out to me on a number of occasions about, hey, you know, just kind of picking my mind about thoughts. What are some different things we can do? Here's what I'm hearing. What do you think? And what are you experiencing? And so it just kind of became a natural place for us to collaborate. And once he told me about Thumb Runner, he and Casper, and I went to his amazing place. It's about a year and a half ago, I guess. And we sat down and we kind of looked at some of the stuff they'd done. And I gave him my notes and thoughts and, you know, kind of what direction we could move in. And, you know, then they, you know, really kind of gave me the honor of saying, hey, you want to formally come on board? You're spending some time and energy on this project, and we'd love to kind of make it more formal. And I said, you know, love to make this happen. And I think we can all, you know, help this project be more successful and get it out there. So that's kind of how that came to be. Like Dylan, the whole project was just
nothing like working with friends, right?
Absolutely.
It's the best.
People, you know.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, exactly. Roger, talk to us about Busy Tuesday. It's very short.
It's a 3 minute, 3 minute film.
And it's very different from your past work, which we have shown, I think, one a year since Pittsburgh Shorts has started. But tell us about Busy Tuesday.
Yes, as you said, it's a very short film, 3 minutes, including the title. And it's about a moment I grabbed watching the news one night. It was on the French television, and what they did is they brought VR cask or helmet to old people in a retirement house. And what they did is they bring them to the church in the Cathedral of Saint-Étienne. So they were all watching the Mass wearing these VR. And I saw all their face just light up. And that exact moment I wanted to express in the film. So that's why my film is about that exact moment, only a 3-minute short film about that moment. Some people, so when I talk about containment, you know, I finished my film in December 2019, just a couple of months before COVID. And if I would have known what was coming, the title of my film would have been different, you know, because my film is about an old person living alone, but having a life because of his helmet, VR helmet.
Thank you. Pablo, tell us about the birthday party. I think everybody has watched the film, probably that's watching this now. And I think probably what they want to know about is how did you shoot the orgy?
We were very shy.
Just
we were
dumped
very
right
shy
in there.
shooting it. Like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before, we were like, are we really going to be in a room with all these naked people doing this? How the fuck are we going to do it? We were like, because I'm like the most extrovert of the couple, but my co-writer, he's much more shy than me. But like, I don't know, we really focused on, we don't want to see, like, our goal was, we don't want to see not even one nipple, you know, so everything had to be choreographed, so we didn't see anything. And the I don't know how you call them in English, the not the actors, they're not stunts, but the
Extra.
yeah, the extras, they were amazing. They were so collaborative, and they were like giving us great ideas of the positions that they were going to do, and we were like, are you really going to touch him like that? And, yeah, no problem. Are you really going to kiss like that? We were like more challenged, you know? So it was a lot of fun. In the end, it was a lot of fun. We were terrified before doing it, but we really enjoyed it in the end, you know.
A lot of times filmmakers talk about attempting work that challenges them and that they're afraid of. So I think that's probably an instance for you and your colleague on this film. Malona, tell us about your film. I was so moved by it, and so just, you know, just heartbroken. If you could talk a little bit about the film and how you came up with this, you know, how that film came to be, that would be great.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I feel really humbled to be part of this, and I feel this short block is a roller coaster of emotions, because I feel, as I can hear, that we have some very funny elements to it, and I think mine, sadly, is not one of the funny ones. I was actually working on a different project. It was following a group of dreamers. That was just after, that was in the fall of 2017, and I'm the mother of 4 children, and my youngest one had just turned 2, so he started preschool. And that was when the administration ended the DACA program. And so I followed a group of dreamers because one of my, the teacher of my youngest one, she actually was a dreamer, or is a dreamer. And her life was thrown into limbo after, you know, she didn't know if she could stay in the United States or not. And so I thought I should, you know, become active and tell her story. And from that, a bigger project grew. But one night I went back to the hotel room and I did some research on immigration in general. And I ran across this article that a baby was taken out of his, you know, father's arms while they were trying to seek safety at the U.S. border. And this was before it had hit the news before. So now this is early December 2017. And I think I was under shock for a while on my bed in the hotel room. And I probably went through the stages of grief within an hour. And then I thought, well, I have to do something. At least I have to offer my help. I'm not an activist. I'm not a lawyer. But I reached out to one of the attorneys who was mentioned in the article. And she actually got back to me within 24 hours, and she said, thank you so much for reaching out. Nobody's here, nobody's witnessing this, and this is happening more and more. And so I think with most projects, with any creative project, I think, or endeavor, there's also luck involved. So I think the coincidence that it was that Tijuana was so close. I was 2 hours away, and I found this is maybe a week before Christmas 2017, and then on the 26th I drove down to the border, and I shot my first interview. And so the story is that it was, their parents and their 2 kids, and one is 15 months and the other one is 4 years. And they went all the legal routes when you seek safety, when you seek asylum, to come to the border. And they presented themselves with identification. And after 4 days, the father was, separated from his baby for 3 months. And I think what really stretched myself in going this route and telling the story was that I am not politically active otherwise. And I think it just disturbed me so deeply to think about my own child being taken from me that I would fight like a lion, that I wanted to fight for them like a lion. And I think, I chose the United States for my family to have children here, to live here, to be an immigrant myself. And, but of course, growing up with everything that happened within Germany and the Holocaust. And as you study it when you're younger, you often find yourself asking your parents or your grandparents, well, what did you do? What did you do during this time? And I felt, as part of this project, as it was getting bigger, I was thinking, well, what if my 8-year-old daughter is going to ask me in 10 years, so what did you do? And I think I myself felt complicit in what was happening. If I would say, well, life was really busy. We had 4 children, everybody's working. And I wanted to do something small. It might not change, the big picture, but I feel like if we have a message and we have something that we want to say, we need to try to say it in a way that other people might listen. And so thank you for watching the film.
I am so honored to be able to share the film, and I think that I have a couple of questions. This is sort of towards the end of your festival run? The film's been out for a little while. Do you feel like it's been seen by a lot of people, because it should be?
Thank you for asking that. It's been an interesting journey. We are at the end of our festival run. We've been to quite a few festivals. I'm not sure, maybe 20 or so. But with my other short films, I had been to festivals like Tribeca a few, twice in a row, and other, internationally big ones. And I was certain in some sense that I would get into some of these, and a lot of these did not take us. And I think the problem is that the subject is so political. And I don't want to make a political statement, and it's so sad that these issues do, because I think it's a human story. It has nothing to do what your political preference usually are, but what we're right now doing is these are like tactics of a dictatorship, and I think the United States is not a dictatorship. And so I wanted to bring this to light, but I think that has hampered, maybe shedding a light on this might have hampered our outreach to people. But what I've seen now is that we are screening at high schools, at universities, and at local, public libraries. And so I'm hopeful that we can also get into places where people don't know about this, because as you see at the beginning, at the end of the film, what the news is telling, what the news is bringing out often is that these people should have waited their turn. They should do it the legal way. Well, what if you do it the legal way? Well, what if you do? You still fall into that same category. And I'm always saying, you should never separate children from parents. It doesn't matter how old they are, but they have nothing to do with decisions that is being made. And that is just something just so deeply disturbing that if you do it legally or illegally, you just don't separate children from parents. But anyway,
I would say that first of all, we have a education program for middle schools and high schools, and Mateo's story is part of our one of our shorts programs that we're offering virtually this school year. So we're doing our part there, and then also just getting back to the idea that you called this a human story. This is a spoiler alert, but everybody that's watching now probably has seen the film, that when Mateo does not recognize his parents after being separated, just has no clue who they are. If you can't identify with that, it is so incredibly painful. That look in his eye is like, who are you? Like, I don't know you. And it just really broke my heart. So thank you for telling the story. Thank you to all of you for doing what you do, because this world is so in need of artists and filmmakers to tell the stories that, I don't think most people read a newspaper and think, I'm going to make a film out of that, or I'm going to make only artists. Artists take stories. Artists are storytellers. And so I cannot thank you enough for doing what you do and being a part of our festival. We're greatly appreciative to you and to our Film Pittsburgh audience. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.